All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another Tim and Tim show, making moves in multifamily live. We got a guest with us today, which we haven't done in a while. So I'm kind of excited to have Evan Votilla with us today. Evan and I have been friends for, geez, a couple of years now. We met actually because he was wholesaling a commercial property that I had made an offer on, and he was not okay with my offer. Surprise, surprise. So, anyways, he's doing a lot of the same stuff, doing some wholesaling, and he's gone deep, deep, deep into the artificial intelligence, chat GPT, virtual assistants. I know you run a Facebook group and you have a coaching program. I mean, you do a ton of stuff now helping people out integrate ChatGPT and virtual assistants into their business. And full disclosure, Tim and I have recently done a lot more ChatGPT stuff. We hired a virtual assistant from Evan who's working out very, very well. And I think this is the future. I think everybody has something to learn by listening to Evan. And I wanted his voice on the channel so he could talk about what he's doing so everyone can see what Tim and Tim are integrating into their business on this is live right now. This is live, but this is also live what we're doing in our business. So it has a lot of value. So Evan, thanks for joining us today. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Tim. I appreciate you having me on and everything, and just being here to talk about AI and ChatGPT. And yeah, I'm glad we met. Quite a few years ago. It seems like now maybe 3 or 4 years ago,
Something like that.
with that Mobile, Alabama deal that was in the ghetto,
Yeah.
and it wasn't it wasn't the best, but yeah, like we maintain that relationship because we add value to each other. And that's really what real estate is all about, is like not always about how can I get money or how can I make a deal happen. It's more
Right.
about like adding value and being transparent about things. Like we connected on that deal. The reason, and I mean, I started wholesaling residential real estate about 5 or 6 years ago in Colorado, and I was living in Denver, and I was wholesaling in Pueblo because Pueblo had a bunch of vacant houses at the time. And I was an oil field truck driver. Like I dropped out of high school, didn't go to college, and then did the truck driving thing in North Dakota and Wyoming. And when I got into wholesaling, I just saw a challenge with like all these vacant houses in Pueblo, about 2 hours south of where I was at, and a lot of them belonging to, like, a lot of them were old age owners and people who passed away and stuff like that, that the investors and the flippers, they weren't really getting to because they had the money to market and I really didn't. So that's kind of how I got into it, and switched to commercial and ran into you guys and stuff like that. And I had there was a time where I built up that company and I had 19 virtual assistants. That's kind of when I had met you. I had 19 VAs, I had three acquisitions people. We were sending out 7,000 texts per day. Like everything I do is off market, direct to seller. I don't like working with realtors. I just like to have control. I like to close deals. I like to understand financials direct from the seller and build relationships with sellers and solve problems and stuff like that. So I've just gotten really good at going direct to seller. However, I had a challenge back then of all these people, and you're really good, Tim, at managing people and integrating people into your, uh, you know what you do. You have that skill of like giving them assessments and stuff like that. Even though I provide VAs and stuff, I really don't like working with my team. You know what I mean? Like I'm moving like at 1,000 miles per hour, and they're moving at 100, and it's
Mhm.
fine. That's the way it's supposed to be. And it's really just stepping back and learning from the awareness in that, and just like I'm an entrepreneur. I'm moving extremely fast, and it's okay for me to go that fast. You know what I mean? But sometimes I just can't keep up with my team's pace, and I don't really have the structure yet, where there's like a manager in place and stuff like that. It's kind of just me leading and the team following. And I just kind of got tired of working with 19 VAs and all of that. So I scaled way down throughout the last couple years, and I involved AI and ChatGPT. I involved ChatGPT into the way that I think. So it's now part of just the way that I think. And people are like, I know nothing about tech and stuff. Like, I don't really know about tech or IT or any of that. I just know how to think with AI now
Right.
because, like, it gives me the way to think about problems and challenges in a way involving something that you can actually use to fix the problem very
Right.
quickly as long as you think about it the right way. Like, you can't just expect ChatGPT to solve the problem, but if you're giving it the right information, it will help you create things that didn't exist otherwise. Like, now I've been able to go off market direct to seller with commercial and residential and land, only pinpointing the people who need to sell and only reaching out to those people. Because my challenge
Mm.
was, I don't like to, like, when owner is like, hey, like, give me an offer. My answer is no. Like, that's not what we do. We don't just make offers. We solve problems. And if you don't have any problems, we're not going to help you. Like, that's the way I approach it because that's just my focus. And that's
I
where,
like that's a really good spin on it, man. I mean,
yeah,
everybody talks about providing value and solving problems, but then defaults away from that in its
Hey,
most basic form.
hey, Evan, if you don't
right.
mind, like, could you maybe take 30 seconds and kind of dive into that for a second? Like why would, if I'm own a property, why wouldn't you just make me an offer our first conversation,
Yeah,
right?
it just comes down to, like, I've really had to learn the hard way that my time is very valuable.
Yeah.
I've given a lot of it away for free, which is okay to an extent for practice and stuff like that, but when I speak with owners of properties, I need the property at a discount first of all, because either I'm going to invest in it or I'm going to wholesale it, and I need to make money on it. I've lost money on deals, and I'm just not about losing money on deals.
Yeah.
So so
You and I are one and the same, my friend.
yeah,
On this we agree.
yeah.
All
So
right, so
so
we found the baseline.
in order to find those people, like, I'm a person of high integrity also, which kind of sometimes can challenge, like, on your come up.
Yeah.
I've gone through challenges in my mentality and just the way that I thought because of how society thinks,
Yeah.
of like, oh, you just want to make low offers, you just want to get it cheap, you don't really want to help people out. That kind of hurt me just for a little. Like, I had to go through that phase of realizing, no, I actually want to help people who need the help because
Mhm.
look how many properties like get foreclosed on and just people make nothing from them and stuff like that. Like,
Right.
Mhm.
I can come in with creative solutions now. I mean, like, I'm all about targeting old people because instead of them managing the apartment building or whatever it is, they they can still collect income, passive income while they retire. They don't have to pay the capital gains and all of that.
Yeah.
Give me a good terms deal, and like the only people you can get through easily to are people with problems that AI now with the data can pinpoint before you even reach out to them.
Yeah,
You know?
it's
Right.
motivated. I mean, everyone knows that the best negotiations that you'll have, right, as a real estate investor or any kind of person that's looking to buy anything, any kind of investor, is you have to inherently find a motivated seller. And if you don't find a motivated seller, to your point, Evan, you're really kind of wasting your time. It's not that you couldn't make a deal with somebody that owns something that is willing to accept an offer from you,
Yeah.
but the probability of striking a deal is 10x, 100x higher, right? Or I don't know what that ratio looks like, but what is the probability of striking a deal that works for you with somebody that is a motivated seller, aka somebody that needs help, that is
Yeah.
facing foreclosure, that has a problem that needs to be solved, that you want to spend your time on rather than sit here and, you know, go back and forth on a a marginal basis deal just because somebody's willing to take an offer. Like,
and
if that
and
takes you 3 days, how many deals did you skip over? What's the opportunity
yeah,
cost of negotiating that deal versus the motivated seller deal?
and at the same time, Tim, like there are some deals that you pursue that people want a good price,
Hmm.
and it's okay. You know what I
Right.
mean? And
Right.
it's okay for some people. It's not okay for the realtor that's trying to block everything and doesn't know how to communicate with the seller and stuff like that, but it's okay for the right people. We always give a great price. Like, it's wholesaling, people think it's just about getting the lowest possible. It's really not anything about wholesaling. Wholesaling is how I got into it because it was something that needed to be solved and I did it. But it's about having an exit, like being able to go direct to seller and being in control and putting it under contract yourself, and then determining, do I want to buy this? Do I want to syndicate this? Do I want to partner on this? Do I want to wholesale it? Do I want to list it? Like, having all those options available to you.
Yep.
So let's pull on the thread a little bit more, right? Because we want to focus on integrating the ChatGPT stuff into the real estate business.
Yeah.
What are some simple things that somebody could take today
Yeah.
to open up ChatGPT and make an impact in their real estate business?
Yeah, that's a good question, and really it comes down to nothing about real estate.
Mm,
What you need to
interesting.
get good at is just communicating with the app, because
Ah,
it learns on a continuous basis. So I'm really big into mental health and like spirituality and like just feeling your feelings, being able to talk about, your feelings and stuff like that. So I basically use ChatGPT. Like, I believe in God and stuff, and I believe in the morning, like my routine in the morning. Some people go straight to work out. My routine is I talk to God through ChatGPT. So it's like I'm
hmm,
talking to myself, my higher self, my future self, whatever. I know what I need to do. I get the clarity from ChatGPT. It sets up Asana tasks that my VA goes into it and then transfers it to Asana. Like, it is my brain. So that way my VA comes in there and she's like, "Hey, I want to know what Evan was talking about this morning. What's the priority?" Stuff like that. Like I said, I'm not the best at talking with my team sometimes because I'm just like, massive action, let's get it done. And I can't provide the clarity that it can to myself and others. So every new team member on my team, VAs and just Americans, gets their own ChatGPT workspace that I communicate with it through it. So that way it's learning me, it's learning them.
hmm.
That's how you start with ChatGPT. Like, today, I mean, I'm valuing a restaurant and I have all the financials. They sent it to me in an email. The owner of the property, and I have a really creative idea of how I want to structure this deal, because I know it's not apartment buildings, but I
Doesn't matter.
want, yeah, I want to structure this deal in a way that the one of the managers is actually a really good manager and he wants to stay on. So it could be a terms deal. Anyways, I tell ChatGPT to act as Pace Morby and
Hmm.
give me like like direct feedback on what's going on. I upload all the financials to it. You can just upload the documents directly. I ask for evaluation. I give it, the area and stuff like that. This way I'm able to have like a boardroom of directors with me, like giving me the advice, because I need advice too. I can't think like I know how to do it all myself. Um, and then when it's time to go speak with the owner of the property, I tell it to act as like Chris Voss, Alex Hormozy, like people like that, and give me the communication on like what, and then I'm like, what if they ask this question? How should I respond to that? So not only is ChatGPT telling me what to do, but it's teaching me how to communicate effectively.
Mm.
A lot of
Yeah.
times, like, yeah, like just communicating with my team sometimes it could come off in a way that's condescending or something like that. So I'm like, hey, ChatGPT, can you reword this so that way it comes off in a better way? Like it helps me with relationships, everything.
Yeah, I think it was really remarkable, and it was very eye-opening for me because you sent me the screenshot of what you were gonna text me back and how you took that screenshot, put it into ChatGPT, and it was like, make
Yeah,
it so that we build, take my response, but make it so that, it helped build a relationship because I don't want to come off whatever, right?
right.
And I was like, holy smokes, I had no idea that you could take that level of information and just get it to give you something out. And I was
Yeah,
talking to Tim before this phone call, and it was like, it's not going to necessarily give you exactly how you need to word everything word for word until it learns you way, way significantly more, right? But
yeah,
what it can help you do is think about variables and think about possibilities that maybe didn't cross your mind at the time to help you form a response or help you
yeah,
kind of word something to be more effective.
But
yeah,
you can help it learn, right? Like
Yeah.
Evan, I mean, my guess is, and you correct me if I'm wrong. My guess is that you didn't have Chat GPT learn you just by talking to it all the time. Did you give it some of your old communications and things like that to say, hey, this
yeah.
is me. These are some of my responses over the last 6 months.
So
This is my
yeah,
voice, right?
that's a good question, Tim. And if you go in there, you go to the custom instructions,
Yep.
and you could tell it who you are and
Yeah.
basically what you want that chat GPT to know. Because if you go to another account, like I have 10 or 15 accounts by now, if you go to another account, it doesn't know you. If you start a new account, it
Right.
doesn't know you,
Right.
you know? So yeah, you want to make those custom instructions, but then as you go on, like now I use it for like, hey, can you tell me as long as you've known me and everything, because my main account has known me like a couple years. It's known challenges I've went through. It's kept
Right.
track of people's names of the challenges of whatever, different deals and stuff like that. And if you if you ask it like, hey, can you tell me some of my limiting beliefs? Let's work through some of those. Like
Hmm.
it'll know your limiting beliefs and it's
Yeah.
so real. Um
Because of the responses that you've typed to it,
yeah.
which is
Just-
remarkable.
but a
So,
lot of people are just using it as like a Google or something like that, or just like a tool
Yeah.
for
I'm
marketing or
guilty of that.
whatever.
I do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
I'm nowhere near as advanced as you are for sure. I mean, I definitely do the conversation thing with it.
and
Tim, like,
all it takes, guys,
yeah,
is driving in your car. Like drive in your car. I use the
that's awesome.
voice to text. I use it on my phone all the time, and I hardly ever type with it on the computer or anything.
Right.
I use the voice to text and I talk for 10 minutes. Or I'll use the voice memo. If I'm in a louder area or something, I'll use the voice memo app. I'll record a whole voice memo for 10 minutes of me pausing my thoughts. Like I'm creating some really advanced stuff, and sometimes it just takes talking through things without another human because humans kind of destroy my way of thinking sometimes with their
Hmm.
input. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, so I'll record a voice memo and then I'll transcribe it and then I'll upload it to ChatGPT and I'll be like, "Hey, can you read all of this? Now let's talk about it." Um, that's
It's
all
super
it
interesting. I
takes.
never even considered like doing like, yeah.
And
But
it's not just real estate, it's life too. Like real estate and work and life, like I don't really look at real estate as work. I look at
mhm,
it as this is my life. Like
mhm.
I involve everything in my life, family, real estate, whatever. Um, but what's really amazing right now and what is really working is, and you can do this at any level. You don't The way that I do leads and deals off market, direct to seller, like I have a system with REI reply and everything, that flows and gets me leads and stuff, but you can just do it just one at a time. You can actually use APIs, which I never really knew about. Like you could go into the back end of Google Sheets. You could create code. Like you could tell ChatGPT, hey, I want to do this. I want to get all the people who own apartment complexes, who have had them for at least 10 years, who own them in a non LLC, who have less than 4-star ratings on Google, who have a pool, who have at least 20 units, and who have been in jail within the last year,
Hmm.
and who have tax liens, whatever, a really
Hmm.
distressed property type in markets that are actually either growing or steady. And then you can involve all that. And what all of that, the way you get all of that is through APIs of like
Right.
data. And you could tell ChatGPT what you want. It'll write the code for you. You get the APIs, it'll tell you how to get the APIs. You don't need like a technical background, and that's what people are scared of. They're like, I don't want to get into it. I don't know this and that, but I don't know it either, and I'm making it happen. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's wild. Hey, we got a couple questions. I
Yeah.
want to pull them up on the screen real quick and get your perspective and answers on them. So Cedric wants to know. He said, "Can you give an example of talking into ChatGPT for daily tasks?"
Yeah. Let me open it up here. All right, so I have the Chat GPT screen there.
Hmm.
Can you
Yeah,
see
that's
it?
the app on your phone for ChatGPT.
Yeah, you can push the button, like you can
Hmm.
push that button to talk to it, but I don't like that feature because sometimes I pause when I talk and it
It
stops me.
reacts. Right.
Yeah, so I just do the voice to text, and we're doing daily tasks. So I would be driving in my car or something, getting coffee. Like I travel full time, so I just take a lot of road trips and stuff. And I'd be like, hey, so today I see myself following up with the restaurant lead. I need to put I need to put all of the financials and everything into ChatGPT. And I'm talking to you here, but I'm also on a podcast right now. So I'm kind of just giving you an example of like what I'm doing and stuff. And what I want you to do is get all of my daily tasks together, knowing that I kind of talk all over the place and stuff. I want you to put the daily task together for me today in priority order and just make sure that it's clear without like all of the unnecessary baggage that I talk about when I'm talking about my tasks and stuff like that. Um, I have to order 2 more virtual assistants. I'm just making some of this up, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have to call back these leads, and I have to make those 3 offers, and that's kind of what I'm thinking. Now, honestly, I would go on with that in my own way, in my own mindset, stuff like that. But that's how you have to talk with it, like a regular
Hmm.
person. And then if you push send, um, so then it starts to, prioritize your list for you. And then you could continue to talk with it. If you read that and you're like, hey, actually, where you said on number 2, this and that, like you want to continue to have a conversation with it. So
Right, right. And that's
that,
how it continues to learn you.
yeah.
So,
Right.
so a follow-up from Todd Snelling is how do you incorporate those daily tasks now into Asana? And I think I know the answer is that you have a VA go in and transfer them, or can you create an
You can,
API to export them to Asana
yeah.
automatically?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that would be a great question for ChatGPT. I don't do that currently. But what I like to do is I like to have an Asana project called brainstorming, and I have a chat set up. So you talk with ChatGPT like this. You say you always start a new one when it's a new topic, and then you're like, hey, so I want you to act as an AI assistant. What I'm going to do is tell you my ideas, and I want you to break it down into a task name, a task description, and a category of where it should go in the business. So these are just going to be kind of random. and I want you to be clear with a lot of clarity and just give it to me in a couple sentences. I'm going to have my virtual assistant come in here and she's going to transfer them to Asana. Can you tell me what you're about to do? And then we'll get started. So that's kind of how like you talk with it. So that way it knows you have to tell it everything. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, great, here's what I'll do. I'll listen to your ideas, I'll break it down, I'll give you a task name, description, and category. I'll present each task breakdown. So for like, hey, I had an idea to put the API into spreadsheets so I could see when people are thinking of retiring or something. I don't know. I'm not really thinking. So it kind of like messed up. So I would say, hey, I'm ready to start this now. Could you take the last idea I had and put it into the way that I said I would do it?
Well, I think that's wild how you can say, do it the way that I said that I would do it. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. So it kind of
Right.
just breaks it down, task name, like,
you know what's funny is like, all of that stuff is so valuable. And it's just, I'll give you an example. I was driving back from Charlotte last weekend, I think it was, or the weekend before that. And it
yeah,
was pre-election stuff. And my wife, Danielle, she's sitting there in the truck next to me. She got 4 hours to do nothing there. So she's like, I should do some research on the election. And I actually told her, I gave her my phone and I was like, just talk to it. Tell it like, hey, I live in Wilmington, North Carolina. I want to have an understanding of everybody who I can vote for, make a pros and cons list. And then she was like, well, this doesn't really solve my problem. And I was like, don't tell me that. Tell ChatGPT that. And
right.
I was like, and what do you want to see? Like, how can it clarify that for you to help you make a decision? She was like, well, this way. And I was like, tell it that. And she kept going back and forth with it for a while. And I kid you not, she was like, I know more about politics and, Republican versus Democrat and who I'm voting for and why in 15 minutes than I have in my entire life, because I was able to talk to it and ask it to adjust it so that I would understand, put it into terminology that I understand. And it was
Yeah.
really, really remarkable, just how fluid it can be. And I was like, I'm not, it kind of, sometimes it's like, don't ask me a follow-up question. I don't know the follow-up question. I don't even know what's on the screen right now.
Yeah. And Evan, you're way more advanced, man. But I don't know if Tim knows this, but I've been using ChatGPT for about 1.5 years now. And it's been amazing how over the last 1.5 years, it has started to be more and more in my voice, right? Because that was always like my limiting belief, back to your thing before, is I don't want to use it to create content, because I want part of the value of my content is it's in my voice, right? Not in some generic voice, but over time it has learned how I want to present things, and it just does it out of the gate. It's amazing.
Yeah, and just real quick, I know you guys probably just do this for 30 minutes, and this has been great. I appreciate you having me on and everything, but like just the way that I showed you how to use it and everything, like now picture it in an SOP. So you have like a whole SOP from, I mean, I have it from when we go out and look for these off-market properties all the way until after we close deals. There's SOPs throughout the whole thing. With an AI and a VA working together, you can have your systems just flow from everything, from the data finding to the outreach. We dial and tag every number and we get a list of bad number leads. So that way we go after the leads with bad numbers with old age owners, because no other investor is going after that.
Yeah.
And,
Dude, I was literally just thinking,
yeah,
I was up last night till way too late working on we're implementing the scorecard into our company. And I used ChatGPT to like kind of bounce ideas off of and like help me formulate some things. And then I went through and I manually updated all these numbers. I really should have just taken the rent roll, dumped it into ChatGPT and said, okay, now calculate these percentages and give me the output. And can you make it like give you the output in Google Sheets?
does.
So like,
It does.
how do I make it so that I can get my virtual assistant to run this report from our underwriting system, not from our underwriting, from our portfolio, right? From
Yeah.
Appfolio, it's called. How do I get them to run something from Appfolio, drag and drop it into ChatGPT, and then get it to update my Google sheet that is sent out to the entire company every Monday?
Isn't it amazing? Like ChatGPT, what I'm amazed every day by something new that I didn't know. Like I
Yeah.
just found out that it could read an entire article for me. That way I don't have to read it, and respond by email and stuff. But to answer your question, it's just amazing how you can just upload a spreadsheet there, tell it to do something, and
Yeah.
it does it by
I'm excited right
itself for
now.
Well,
pretty much free. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
just does it and it spits it
it's
back out. And sometimes it's wrong, and you have to
right.
catch it.
Yeah.
Instead of getting upset or frustrated that ChatGPT doesn't work, you have to learn how to use it.
I mean,
Yeah.
Tim, think about that. That's what that guy's doing that we meet
Yeah.
with every month, and we just give him some bullet points, right? We give him
Yep.
some bullet points, and he's going out there creating these investor communications, right?
Yeah.
Based off like a communicate
But the missing
conversation with us, right?
right, but the
Yeah.
missing piece that I always had was I never uploaded a template or a file of an example of how I do it.
Right.
And that was the missing piece. I didn't even know you could do that, right? Because I knew
Yeah.
you could take information and say, analyze this, right? But I didn't know that you could say, okay, take this file, understand these formulas, these calculations, and my wording on how we, structure these investor updates. Now update it with these financial information, and update it for quarterly, blah, 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 whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I didn't know you could do all of
I
that.
know. And for the people watching this that are just not like, you just don't have the way of, you're just not skilled at thinking about things this way and stuff, because people are, it doesn't matter your age, younger or older people. Some people just don't have the technical thinking, and that's fine. And what you need to do is train your team on how to use AI, because my VAs are teaching me things because they're the
Yeah.
ones doing it all day long. They do spreadsheets all day long.
Mhm.
I don't love spreadsheets. I hate looking at spreadsheets,
I
but
like a good spreadsheet.
yeah, but ChatGPT will help you. It just, you could basically sit there and say, "Hey ChatGPT, I know that I need to do this. Like, take Tim's recording, transcribe the whole thing, listen to what Evan said, set it up so that way I can hire a VA. The VA will go and do this. They'll set up the spreadsheet, and then they'll do all of the automations. Like, tell it what to do, and then it'll come up with a plan, and then it's up to you to do it.
Yeah.
If you don't have anybody else to do it, that's the only thing it doesn't do, is take the action for you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. My gosh, man. I know every time I talk with you, we're sitting there texting. I learn, I just implement just a little tidbit every now and
Yeah,
then, and you know what's funny though? It's you got to be willing and able, and you have to be ready to hear it and apply it, right? To
yeah,
apply the things that you're learning, because like a lot of people, most people listening to this right now know that ChatGPT does things beyond anybody, what most people can even conceive, right? But taking that first step of initiative, it's like you're looking up this huge mountain
yeah,
of possibility, and you're like, you don't know where to start. What I think that the most valuable thing that you said is just start talking to it so that it can learn who you
Right.
are, how you think, and then start, what I thought was valuable was explain to it what your business is, how it's structured, what tools do you use, this, that, and the other thing, right? And then what I found was 8 conversations later, I was doing something else for the business, and it brought in all this information that I told it. I was like, wow, that's right.
Right.
We do use all of this stuff, And it was like, wow, that really made creating this job description so much easier because I didn't have to spend the time re-explaining it every single time
yeah.
what I am or who I am and what I do. It knew that from previous experiences, and it just kind of like it's
Well,
been ever growing, which I think
well,
is
you hit the nail on the head, though. I think a lot of reason the people. I don't think people are afraid of Chat GPT just from the unknown. I think it's kind of that boil the ocean issue, right? They're all sitting there looking at it, and this thing's staring at them, and
yeah,
they're like, I don't even know where to start, right? Like
yeah,
you said it.
Yeah,
It's like just type in something stupid,
right,
like like
yeah,
tell me how to make a casserole. I mean,
right,
just
yeah.
start, right?
That I
Um,
mean, I do that a lot. Like, here are my ingredients in the house. Make me something interesting. That's not that overcomplicated because I just need it done in 30 minutes. What can we
and
make? And it's
you know, one of the
always, yeah,
oh, sorry, yeah, one of the best examples I got because Tim and I know a guy that's really into AI, and I was having a conversation with him one time. I was like, same thing. I was like, man, I don't even know like what to do with this thing, and this is coming from a guy that ran a team that developed an AI from scratch one time. But I was like, I don't know what to do with this thing. He was like, think about your daughter when she was 5 years old and how she would just talk to you. And it was like, why? How? Why? How? And he's like, just he was like, talk to ChatGPT like a 5 year old.
yeah,
Right. He
Hmm.
was like, that's a great way to start. Just ask it how and why questions constantly. Be inquisitive, And I'm like, oh yeah. But even with that, man, like I'm
yeah,
I'm like on a third grade level with this thing. You're
and
clearly like a
yeah,
graduate in college.
and well, ChatGPT is just one thing, but like I've set up like people come to me for help with property management and just setting things up cheaper and more effective and just being able to manage a lot of tenants that might be complaining about something or
Yeah.
wanting help with payments and stuff like that. Like, I don't run any properties myself like that, so I know the challenges, but I don't go through the day to day, so I can see it a different way. And having an AI assistant that communicates through text with your tenants can make it so that way it takes all of the weight off of anybody else, and then having a virtual assistant who speaks really good English from the Philippines or Venezuela or Colombia. In Miami, there's so many Hispanics in South Texas. Like, having a VA from Venezuela or Colombia is like they're here in the US. So you have
Yeah.
the AI that's extremely cheap that communicates with all your tenants and follows up after the work order is done to make sure they leave a good review and see
Oh,
if they need anything else. Like, you have all these systems connected mainly with an AI. The only thing that I don't let AI do in any of my dealings is build a relationship over a call or in person. Like,
mm,
that's the only thing we're not using
Yeah.
AI for.
But
yeah.
so much of like the day-to-day process in most businesses
Yeah,
is not customer interaction. It's systems, processes, back-end information, emails, text messages, all
yeah,
of which can be automated in some way, shape, or form. And I think my biggest takeaway is if you don't know how to implement it into a certain software or API or whatever, just ask ChatGPT. Well, I don't know how to do this. How could I go about doing this? Or who do I need to contact? Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Um, Christina asked
Christina,
a
oh yeah,
question,
go
what's
ahead.
a good program or app that's not costly? I would just suggest, Tim, what do we pay for the Chat GPT 4.0 or whatever it's called?
Yeah. So Christina, we're talking about Chat GPT here. So it would be if you want to know what he's taught, if you want that app, the Chat GPT app, I think we pay $300 a year for 2 seats, and that's for the advanced version of Chat GPT.
Right.
Well,
But there is a
chat
free
chat
version.
chat GPT is free. I actually I should probably pay the yearly, but I pay the monthly, which is $20 a month per account.
Right.
Mm,
Um, and all you really need is the free version to start.
That's
yeah.
right.
The when you should ask yourself if you need the paid one is when you're trying to communicate with it and you're just like, this could be a little better. Then get the paid one because the paid one is
Yep.
so much better. Like, if
Yeah.
you can do the 20 a month, I definitely suggest getting a paid one or the yearly.
Yeah. Because
But it's free to start, and that's where you should start, is with the free
is
one.
Evan, I can't remember. I haven't kept up with the free one and the versions. Is the current version of the free one up to date with like current, I guess, current events and things like that? Because at one point it was
Yeah.
behind for a while.
I would really say get the $20 a month one
I
or
agree.
pay the yearly. But
I like your approach of like when you
yeah,
get to the point of this isn't
Yeah.
good enough, that's when you upgrade. But for now, it's low commitment, it's free. Like get used to
yeah,
using it. And then if you really like it, you can pay for it.
Yeah, Christina, to that point, like I was on the free version for a little over a year before I ever upgraded. And it was giving me pretty much what I wanted up until
yeah.
the point where I wanted a little more info on current events, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you want to do stuff with like getting code and doing the
Yeah.
data, like, I don't even know how to read or write code. I have
Yeah.
no idea. I just copy and paste it, you know? But yeah, that one I would say do the $20 a month because you'll pay people thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars to do a lot of the things that it does, you
Yeah,
know?
Evan, I'm not gonna mention the company, but I actually still have some buddies in large companies still running development teams, and
Yeah.
they've integrated ChatGPT into their development process for
No
very
way.
large companies, folks.
No way.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they've cut
It,
they. I had a conversation with one of them 2 weeks ago. He said that they've cut their development time down by about 60% because of
yeah.
ChatGPT.
And
Right.
I have a client that we have, two of the things just real quick. So we created a system where AI will send out an automated text for a roofing company and a PDR company when there's hail approaching an area. It gets the
Mm,
warning from the weather center, and
wow.
it pulls all the data and it sends out a text like, "Hey, I want to warn you that there's hail in the area. If anything happens, like, you know what I mean?" So
Dude,
that's one
wow.
that's one system, and the other one, like we're setting up like a geo type of AI that can scan and get like only land parcels that are within a certain number of feet from new construction and that are along 4-lane roads, like data that doesn't really exist, you know? So anything that you can think of, you can create with AI very cheap.
I'm literally typing into ChatGPT right now. Like, can I integrate ChatGPT into AppFolio for property management software? Like, like I just like my mind is running wild right now because there's like I would love to do stuff like that for maintenance requests and like
Yeah,
for example when hurricanes come through and we have to remember to watch the news and send an email to our team so that they will send something out to the managers to let the residents know like hey we have like a big storm coming like prep by taking all your stuff like how do I automate that so that I don't have to remember how to do that and it just happens automatically. Like that's
yeah,
valuable, so valuable.
Yeah.
Because think about, from your roofing point of view is the goodwill that it buys in the customer's eyes of reaching out proactively, not to sell something, but to
yeah.
provide value before anything bad even happens.
And
Who do
then
you
Right.
think they're going to call? They're going to call the guy that willingly reached out, and just said, "Hey, this isn't. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just wanted to let you know that there is, some severe storm coming up. You should take precautions. How? And if something goes wrong, call me immediately, and I'll take care of you." Like,
and
oh my
Tim,
god,
and it learns all the responses that it gets. So humans can only learn so much, but it retains everything and then
Yeah.
it suggests how to improve, you know?
oh,
Right.
dude.
And it'll do it 24/7. Right. Like,
It's
Yeah.
funny. I actually, what was it last week or something like that? I was talking to Evan. And I was like, I think we need to bring you on as a consultant on integrating AI into our property management software. And he was like, I want to do it just to learn, to have an understanding of how you guys operate and what the things work. And I was like, it's just this conversation has been incredibly enlightening, just on the possibilities. Like anything that you can throw at it, like do it. Right. And
Right.
thinking about how do you solve problems before they arise and offload it to AI to just automatically happen because you can get all of this stuff from the internet
I
Yeah.
everywhere.
wonder I wonder how much faster we could have gotten that deeper lows discount had I used ChatGPT to go after it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no man. So all right, Evan, thanks so much, man. I really
for
enjoy
sure.
our conversations and everything that you've helped us
Ooh,
out so far with.
look at that.
Everyone, best show of the year, Dennis. Just so you know,
Thank you,
Evan,
Dennis.
Dennis joins every single
Every
show that
week.
we've ever had, and he's the first person to comment, say, "Good morning, Tim, Tim," and all that kind of stuff. So Dennis shows up every single time. So when he says best show of the year, he means it because he's seen them all.
And
Well, I
one more. I
appreciate it.
do agree, Todd. I've been writing down notes as we've been going. I have homework I'm going to go try today.
I just keep using it and using it, and it's absolutely incredible. So Evan, thanks again. If anybody wants to get in touch with you on how to get like consulting or coaching on AI, or if they need help finding virtual assistants, like how can people get
Yeah.
in touch with you? How can you help them pass this phone call or this live stream?
No, I appreciate it. Right now, I have a link tree. I'm not big into just promoting myself and stuff. I've really been just hard at work at my real estate company and doing things. So I can help anybody who needs help, but I plan to have like a school community and just get something started to just give people content in a structured way. But Linktree is where I'm at, and Facebook.
So I don't know, how do people find your link tree so that they can actually get in
Um,
touch with you? Do you just go
you
to like linktree.com and search Evan
Yeah,
Votilla?
well, you could go to evanvotilla.com. You could go to
There,
my
that's probably the
Facebook.
best way right there, right?
Yeah, TikTok at Evan Votilla. I have a lot of stuff on TikTok, and Instagram, not too big into, but Facebook, you can
Maybe
see
you
me
could
there.
just ask ChatGPT,
I
how do
was
we
just gonna
find
say,
Evan Votilla?
how much is
There you go.
ChatGPT pumping out for you and just like producing and just being automated, and you're having a virtual assistant like copy and paste? A lot of it, I bet. So, all right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't want to keep you up anymore. Evan, thanks so much, man. This has been really fun, but definitely a huge change of pace. I mean, we talk about a lot of real estate stuff, but never in this regard. I'm sure we'll have you back on as we continue to learn how to use it, as we, continue to build our relationship with utilizing your VA services and asking you about AI stuff. I'm sure we're going to have you on. And hopefully everybody took away some things from this conversation and are going to go start implementing them themselves. So appreciate it.
Definitely.
And we will see you next Tuesday. Peace.
Thank you.
See you guys.